Speaking of facing the audience, I do want to reassure you that yes, you can overcome anxiety. You may have heard of the studies where they ask people what their greatest fear is, and people are more likely to list public speaking than anything else. They're more likely to list public speaking than spiders or snakes or closed in spaces or heights or flying or even death. It's kind of bizarre because you know that, okay, there's a reason why people would be afraid of snakes, right? Snakes are deadly, you could die. But public speaking is not actually a deadly activity. You're not going to die from it. So, where does this fear come from? Well, it's actually kind of nice to know there's a reason for it. So, the first step is to understand it. It's natural. It's a fear that comes from an ancient, primitive part of your brain that is responding to being stared at. If you think about it, it makes sense. Thousands and thousands of years ago, if you had a human being walking across the savannah and that human being encountered a pack of wolves, and all of the wolves lifted their heads and stared at the human being, well, that should trigger the fight or flight response so that the human being would have lots of adrenaline flowing through their body and their muscles would tighten up and their heartbeat would increase so that they could fight off the wolves or run away. So nowadays, of course, we're not encountering packs of wolves, but we still have this built-in response to being stared at. So if we have a lot of eyes on us, that triggers that ancient primitive fear. It starts to trigger the fight or flight response, and your heart will beat faster and your muscles will tighten up. And if you think about it, it's just a response to having all of those eyes on you. So if you're giving a speech and you realize, oh, my heart's beating faster, my muscles are tightening up, I don't know what's happening, just recognize it's a natural response to being stared at, and look at the audience and smile, and you can even warm up the crowd, chat with them a little bit, and make sure that you are able to start to realize that this is not a pack of wolves, right? You can give your brain a chance to stand down, come down off the red alert. It's okay. This is not a pack of wolves. This is just people who are here to listen to me talk. And once you have had a chance to come down off of that anxiety, you'll find that you're able to give your speech much more effectively. One thing you don't want to do is start speaking while you're in the grip of that initial anxiety, because then your brain will start to think that's what public speaking feels like. It feels anxious and stressed like that, and it really doesn't have to. So give yourself 10 or 15 seconds before you start for your brain to calm down and come down off of that initial anxiety.